All units, stand by.
Like, something happened and someone's scheming somebody, and I'm just confused.
Hello and welcome to Mint Meltdown with Lenny and Wanzi. And we are very, very excited to have our guest today. Juan, would you introduce our guest?
Our guest is Arvin Khamseh. So Arvin is a Fortune 500 marketer and an NFT marketer who's worked with over 400 NFT projects. So Arvin, can you give us a little bit more background on yourself and how you got into the NFT world?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into marketing as a blogger, actually. Worked with a lot of influencers in the health industry, and then worked with a lot of small businesses, startups, all the way to Fortune 500 companies and public companies. With public companies specifically, I was managing their investor relationship marketing. So what I was doing was essentially finding investors online, short-term and long-term investors online, and then nurture them so that they would invest in the company's stock. So I had that experience and knowledge in there. And then back in 2021, October, I would say 2021, some artist from Italy, he came to me. He wanted to sell out his NFT collection of 10 pieces, actually, very small. And we did that using Twitter ads and nothing else. We sold it out, I believe, in 3-4 days. And then that was, for me, a proof of concept where I realized, okay, everything that I learned in investor relationship marketing with public companies is 100% relevant in the NFT marketing. So I brought it into the NFT world. And then that month alone, I worked with about 100 brands. And then since then, it's about 400 brands that I've worked with.
Wow. It's so interesting to hear you say, and first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. It's so interesting to hear you say that, the traditional, I guess you'd say, marketing practices work in this NFT economy. A lot of things that I've heard are people saying that doesn't work. You have a different way of reaching people. But you're saying you've seen from examples that
100%.
Absolutely
and
still works.
To be fair, even in investor relationship marketing, so just for people who don't know what that looks like, actually, maybe let's talk about that. So it's it was $500,000 plus every month on a lot of money on paid ads across all social media platforms, plus a lot of native ads. So native ads, there's platforms out there like Stack, Adapt, and so on and so forth, where you literally pay them and then they will push your content, like a banner content, everywhere online. And then the name of the game in actually investor relationship marketing is actually getting a lot of impressions. So like millions and millions of impressions. And then people keep seeing something about your company. Then later on, you have this investor deck, which is very similar, by the way, if someone knows that, very similar to what an NFT website looks like. And so essentially, who's the team? What are the goals? What's the opportunity? What are you going to promise? What problem are you solving? So on and so forth. It's literally the exact same thing. And so when I came into the NFT marketing, I realized I was like, okay, this is just very similar. We just have to do it in a way that's, we have to build a Discord, for example. We have to build Twitter. We didn't have to do it with public companies. It was slightly different, but building communities is the same. It's the same across whatever platform, whatever business you're doing. And so when it came to NFT marketing, I learned that, for example, with Discord, you need to have 3 to 5 times the number of collection size. So let's say if it's a 10,000 collection size, you want to have 30 to 50,000 people in your Discord. You want the online to total member ratio to be at least 10%. With Twitter, you want to have half of the size of the collection. So again, 10,000 collection size, you want to have at least 5,000 people on your Twitter as a follower. Engagement rate, you want to have 0.5%. With whitelisters, you want to have about half of the size of the collection as well, and you want them to mint out 80 to 90% of the collection size. So there's certain things, it's obviously just about NFTs, right? So as I was doing things, clients would actually tell me, they were like, well, we need a Discord. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll just build a community on Discord, and this is how we're going to do it.
And when you say you want at least 10% of the Discord population online, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so at any point when you look at the Discord, so for people who are new to Discord, if they click join Discord, they will see that there are two numbers that are written on the page where you're joining a Discord. One is how many members there are, and then how many members are online. At any point when you look at a Discord, you want the online to total to be minimum 10%.
Okay, so that shows you sort of the interaction of people that are actually on the channel.
Shows interactions, plus it also shows if you have bought followers or rather Discord members.
Oh, really? How does that? How can you tell by that?
Yeah, so let's say if you've got like 100,000 people on your Discord and then you've got 5 people online, that's very clear what you've done.
It's a dead giveaway.
And the other thing that you mentioned, sorry, Twitter ads. One of the things that we've spoken to a lot of people about is how Twitter doesn't allow you to do NFT ads, and you were saying that's one of the your tools for creating some buzz.
So you're right, it doesn't unless you have a license to run NFT ads. And so I have an agency partnership with Twitter and actually all the social media platforms. So I'm able to actually help NFT brands to be approved for running NFT ads as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so if you don't have it, you can't run it. You just get, it will just read something like you're ineligible to run ads, and then your account is completely shut down.
Oh, wow. They really shut down your account completely.
Yep, if you do.
What if you do your ad to talk about Discord, but it ends up being an NFT? Or is that the difference that you guys create? Because you could be creative.
That's what we used to do. So when I didn't have that partnership, I would just not use the keywords. So I wouldn't say NFT. I would just say artwork. I would say we have a collection of 3,500 artwork or something like that. You know what I mean? And so then we could get away with it. But then as time progresses, obviously they catch on, right? And so there was a point where I was actually creating 20, 30 different ad accounts. So by the time one was shut down, I was to the next one, and then I would continue the ads. But those times have passed, so now we actually can do it properly, where we just run ads and without having to do any of that.
Arvin, so I don't know if you know a lot about what Mint Meltdown is, but what we focus on are scams. Not just scams and scammers, but also bad business practices within the NFT marketplace and the whole Web3 kind of economy. And so I was hoping to ask you, in your experience, what are some red flags or things that, as someone that has all the experience that you have, you could look at a project right away and say, this one either is a straight up rug pull, or it's not going to make it? Are there things that you see right away that just tell you that?
Yeah, I want to. So out of 400 ish NFT projects that I've worked with, and I've seen many more. So those are the ones that are clients. So I just want to say, first of all, out of those 400, 2 of them were rug pulls.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So that you worked on those projects and they ended up being rug pulls?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd love to hear about those too.
Yeah. I won't obviously mention their names, but yeah, happy to give you details. The way I do things is, well, at the beginning, I didn't know better. Everyone would say, hey, I have this NFT project. I'd be like, well, I can be a marketer, right? So I wouldn't obviously go and just, researching them around. But later on, I have come to realize, I've seen enough roadmaps. I've seen enough projects where I can see, okay, this is just taken from someone else's, right? Or but more importantly, I think the best way I've been able to have this good ratio of not many rug pulls inside our community is that I just look for the smallest things, like how people communicate, how they do small things. So I do believe, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if I ask them and say, let's say day one on their onboarding, I say, hey, for example, I want this creative for Instagram ads, for Instagram story ads, and I want it by this date, and this is how I want it. If I see, for example, they're like, can we just do half of it? Can we do can we just not like really create it? Can we just use someone else and just maybe edit it a little? So things like the smallest thing where I see people trying to cut corners, and just it's not just lazy. It's also just the intentions are not clear why they're in there, like for the NFT projects, right? So the smallest thing that I see, it just makes me, I'm already alert, right? So I'm already thinking, okay, why? Like, why are you guys here? Are you not thinking like this is going to be a thing that you're going to do in the future?
All right. So, okay. So question about that. So in that example, if you have a client that responds in that way, do you cut it off?
I do. I've done plenty of those. And I actually told my buddy the other day, I probably leave a lot of money on the table. But then at the same time, it's amazing because like people who are in my community, especially like lately, like the more I've actually gone through this community, the better people I get to meet. So I leave a lot of money on the table. I heard Gary Vee saying that like 5-6 years ago, and as a marketer, I was like, why would you do that? Don't leave money on the table. But now I actually understand it, what he meant by that, which is you have the opportunities to do things, but just doing it with people who are not great or don't have great intentions, it just brings you down ultimately as well. So like you just don't want to be in there with those people. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So okay, so if you, let's say today, Arvin, I have this new project that I would love for you to invest in. What things are you looking for to make sure, like you already mentioned, you want to see a roadmap, and you mentioned like the small things.
How they communicate. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How they communicate. Okay, so just for our listeners, we're trying to get in front of them before they invest in bad projects.
Right.
So is there other advice you could give for anybody that's new?
Yeah. I mean, by the way, one of those two rug pulls, I don't want to justify their actions because I already told them, like I even called the founders and I said like, come and apologize and everything. But it seemed as though what happened was they just failed as a project. And then they just didn't know better. Like they didn't know like how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't so much of like, cause I think sometimes people have this, and that's still a rug pull, by the way. Not taking away anything from that. Like their actions is not right. There's nothing great about what they've done. But I think sometimes maybe people don't understand that what actually goes on into like rug pulls. Like I'm sure there are projects out there. They're from the get-go, they're actually building things to do a rug pull. Like they want to cash out and leave, right? I have not seen even one of those yet. So, or maybe I'm just I have like a maybe I'm like maybe I just think of people too highly, but I'm yet to see someone who is like that. But then again, not to justify their actions, but it seemed as though they just got into some, like they were just so embarrassed and so they just felt so bad. And they were so stressed out. They didn't know how to deal with it, and they just like basically started just hiding from people.
Wow. Well, and we have examples of that, like on major stages where you have. I can't remember the name. There's an NBA player that just pulled his whole project because he said it was too much work. You had what's her name? The porn star that stopped doing her. Lana Rose. Yeah. So we've seen that over and over again. And for me, I come from a traditional business background as well, and business isn't for everyone, and being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. It's funny. That's another thing Gary has said for a long time, and it rings more and more true now, where everyone thinks I'll create an NFT project, I'll make $1 million, and it'll be great, and they don't realize how much work it is to stick with it.
100%. And so to go off that, one other thing that I look at, if someone comes to me and says, we just want to spend a little bit to test out the water, like to me that's not a good sign. Like this is not a hobby. Like this is not something to just test out. Mm-hmm. This is like you building a community for people to invest in something, and they spend at least 4 weeks with you in this Discord community, and this could be the only project that they invest in. This could be the first time that they're actually investing money in anything. It could be first NFT, it could be just in their entire life. This is literally the first time, and it's like that one NFT, $500, is literally the first time ever they've done something. And so it's actually really impactful. So to say like, hey, I just want to do this and just see what happens, that's not really a proper intention coming into this. It's like that kind of person, they should just join another project, be their employee, be part of their team, and just learn along the way. Not build your own and just be like, hey, let's see what happens to people. It's like, no, that's a pretty bad idea.
Right. So I want to pitch you I have a project idea. Okay. This is a good one. I'm really excited about it. It's called Ponzi NFT. Okay. So we start with one NFT. I create one of one, and it goes on the market. And the person that buys it, it clones itself. So they get two. As soon as they own it, now it becomes two. Okay. Then when they go to sell those two, then they both get cloned as well. And the royalties will go back to the person, the originator, and then they keep going, right? It's a straight up Ponzi scheme. So everyone that gets it, though, there's a grandfather royalty. So everyone along the line of previous owners will get a piece of the ownership all the way forever. And so I'm calling it Ponzi NFT. I think that it's going to be the most honest NFT project out there because it's very upfront. And I think the more I think about it, this is a joke, of course. I don't think I'm going to really do this. But the more I think about it, it's more honest than a lot of the NFT projects because the royalties only go to the originator. And they want you to flip those as many times as you can because they want it to go back to them. In this case, the money goes to everyone. So everybody's flipping these things like crazy. So that's our Mint Meltdown project that we're going to create.
Of course, the floor price will be like so high, no one can afford it, right? Yeah.
Everyone's getting paid, and everyone's paying themselves. It's going to be complete chaos.
I mean, yeah. As long as SEC is not, against it, I guess that's perfectly fine.
I wonder if Ponzi in the name will key them into my intentions.
No, most people think that's just too honest. And they won't buy in.
Yeah, that's true. It's too obvious, right? So another question I have for you is with marketing, how prevalent you talked about some of the platforms, but how prevalent is TikTok in what you've seen?
Oh, I honestly. So there's the paid ad side of things, and then there's the influencer marketing side of things. So for both influencer marketing and paid ads, so far, I have not seen great results from TikTok. Now, TikTok is actually amazing, like for any other businesses, and the price is so cheap to get in front of people on TikTok. So they're really trying to incentivize people to come on that platform, especially away from Facebook and into TikTok. And so it's just a great opportunity for any business. But for NFT, I just have not seen conversions coming from TikTok. Same thing with Instagram, which is really weird because you would think all these artists, they have their artwork on Instagram. That must be the best place. But for the influencer marketing side of things, I have not seen anything great coming from influencers on Instagram. For paid ads is perfect. Like it's great. But because the audience is out there, but for influencers on Instagram, not a single person. And like people in my program, they've paid people up to 100K for just one post.
One post.
For one post. And guess how many Discord members they gained from that?
How many?
They lost
5.
That is a bad cost.
That's cost of acquisition. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So conversions are a little bit lower than what we wanted. So
$25,000.
So
so you're in
exactly.
And for Instagram, you don't need to do any type of approval for
No.
ads. It's just like you set
No.
up and you're good to go.
Back in November, they rolled out a new policy where they said, actually, you guys can go do whatever you want on Instagram. Like basically go talk about NFTs as much as you want. And I think it was kind of weird that they didn't do it sooner, because with all the things that Mark Zuckerberg actually talked about on October 2021, talking about what the metaverse looks like and everything that's going to be NFTs, it was just kind of weird that they would say, yeah, but you can't talk about it on our platform.
Yeah.
And so then eventually I think they just realized, they were like, wait, that makes no sense. Let's just roll it out back into like actually talking about it. But was also interesting. We had this targeting features on Facebook and Instagram. So you could target people who have an interest in Ethereum, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency. And then it was actually in my program where I was showing people how to do it. And then one day, and this is like, I think shot my program videos in maybe mid-November. And then I think it was like end of November, someone on my Discord wrote, Arvin, your program is outdated. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I literally made this like 2 weeks ago. And so it turns out they just Facebook just decided to just turn off those targeting features. Wow. You could no longer target people for an interest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrency. Now, the new things you could do right now, for example, we do, it's people who have interest in Gary Vee or Logan Paul or let's say digital currency, which is kind of weird. Like cryptocurrency is not a thing you can target, but digital currency you can target. So things like that. Now we can target and just get in front of people. But Facebook is also just, without warning people, just changing everything on people, day and night. Yeah.
What about hashtags? How important are hashtags when you're marketing?
On Twitter?
Either one of your platforms, either Twitter or Instagram. So based on the internal data on Twitter, you want to have 1 and maximum 2 hashtags in your ads or your post. No more. Yeah. No more. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Same thing with emojis too. They didn't tell me like what it is, but once you pass an emoji, like a threshold they have, then your account. So first of all, your post quality is lower than average, and then your account quality becomes lower than average as well. So that means you have to pay more for ads.
Wow. Interesting. Keep talking about your program. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so I have this program where I teach people who have either the NFT collection or they just started it, how to essentially sell out their NFTs, and then how to increase floor price if they're past that level of just selling out or the minting is live. And the way I do it is 2 group calls every week, because everything is changing. So I can't just like put some videos out there and just be like, hey, just watch these and you do fine. I still need to like talk with people and just see what's new and just update everyone. But it's also like the group feature of it is cool because people learn from each other. Like yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we were on a call, and then someone came in and just was like, hey, he found this new bot on Discord where he can collect whitelisters, and he taught everyone how to do it. And we were like, okay, this is really cool. Like now everyone's going to use it. Right. So it's just good to be in front of like, I guess within a group of people. It's kind of like a mastermind as well, where people just learn from each other what to do too. Because I don't know everything. Like I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything.
That's awesome. Another question we'd like to ask our guests too. Have you ever been scammed?
Yes. So one day I was looking through. So I really like buying lands on Decentraland and Sandbox. And one day I just decided not to buy from OpenSea, just buy from the website. So I Googled Decentraland, and then I went and clicked on the first website that showed up, because in my mind, first website that shows up has the highest ranking, and based on Google ranking, that must be the true one, not the fake one. But I was wrong, so I clicked on it. It looked exactly like the Decentraland website, and then I connected my wallet, and also did something very stupid. I had a wallet that had like 100K in it, and then in literally seconds, I saw. So I clicked on my MetaMask, and I was clicking on it because I think it just shut down. Like it was asking me to like log in back in, or whatever it was. I clicked on it again, and it showed like I think it was like $2, and then yeah, and I couldn't believe it. So I was just like continuously clicking on it because I was like, maybe it's just refreshing. Maybe something happened with MetaMask. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't. So typically scams is like you go on Discord and then like, or email, you click on something, right? That people send you. You never like think about like you going to a website that you searched on Google, right? And so I couldn't still believe it. So I called my sister and I was like, can you go check this? Because I couldn't even like do it. Like it was really weird experience. So I just asked my sister, go on Etherscan, just see like, do I have money in my wallet or I don't? And then she's like, nothing. And then as we were talking on the phone, we saw these like transfers from my wallet. So all my NFTs went out as well. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was epic.
No.
But I told a bunch of friends, obviously it was really annoying, like, you know, very upsetting. But I told a bunch of friends a few days after that, I said, you know, this happened. And they're like, if you haven't lost at least 100K in this industry, you haven't been there long enough. So like, it's okay. Yeah.
Wow.
This is actually...
Wow. How long ago was that?
2 months ago, 3 months ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I made a video about
in the
it
industry
on
for a while.
Twitter. And then actually I was running ads on it and Twitter took it down. So they said you can't run ads on it. And is your podcast PG-13 or no?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you could cuss, whatever that means.
So so then I asked him, I was like, hey, this is literally a video. I got lost 100K. I just want to tell people how that happened so it doesn't happen to them. Because on the same day, people still were losing money.
Right.
And so I ran ads on it. I was just paying money to just distribute it as wide as I can. Right. And then they said, no, in like 40 minutes into the video, you said the word fuck. So like you can't run it. And so that's how that went. So no one,
that was their reason.
Yeah.
Wow.
So no one found out about it anymore past that time. But yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
So that's a new one. We haven't covered one like that. So you searched it out.
Yeah.
You went to the top ad and clicked, and it instantly gone.
Yeah, Magic Eden. I don't know if the marketplace for Solana had something like that, where some scammer made a very identical website except for like one dot. Like, so it was magic.eden.io, and boom, like it was the first one on the Google search.
That's really difficult to do, by the way. That's like amazing SEO. Like how do you bring it up so high? So that was also partly I couldn't believe it. Like when I clicked on it, I didn't even think about that because I was like, you have to do amazing SEO to bring that up. It wasn't an ad. It was literally like organically on top. And I believe it was either org or .com, one of the two. But one of them was fake, one of them was.
So was that, just for all of our listeners too, was that Decentraland or Sandbox? Decentraland.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of your NFTs, which one was the one that hurt the most that they took?
I had some of them were from like the projects that I actually worked on, like San Vegas and a bunch of other ones. And so like I just really liked them, and I was planning on keeping most of them. And so yeah, but I ended up just buying again. So
you rallied, and you're still
good.
here. I think that while I have not had a loss as big as that, we all share a scam or a loss in our past. That's kind of that's the reason we even created this podcast, because we had fallen victim to something like that. And it's our goal is just to educate and try to get other people to avoid these kind of things. It's like you said, it's part of us being in the Wild West. Like we're all paying the price and hopefully helping the second generation of people moving into this space not
Exactly.
experiences many.
So there's going to be more regulations. So like FBI, for example, they created a task force that they're going to be able to, I don't know what they do yet, but their plan is to regulate the crimes that are happening around cryptocurrencies. So like enforce certain laws and rules. But that also comes with just the whole point of decentralized world is that we don't have that. Like we gotta be able to just protect ourselves, not like if some centralized government, like centralized organization comes and do things again. So that's just defeats the whole purpose. But then but we like I was telling my sister too. I was like, we talk shit about banks, but I would have gotten my 100K back.
Right, you would have got your money back. Right.
Yeah, because we're federally insured for 250,000.
Right. That's exactly what we were talking about. We're like, dang, I wish there was some kind of NFT insurance or something. But then you give up the control so it is a really tough place to be, and a lot of growing pains. Obviously regulations come then with taxes or some other form of, you have to pay for this loss of control. Like it's crazy, and it is a weird world we're living in. And I'm really interested too in all of the newer kind of the closed loop blockchains that are being created, and how they will interact with the open, and then the cross chains and all the other stuff that's still on its way, that is there's going to be more and bigger scams, I know, just because of all of the loopholes that are still yet to be exploited. So
100%. I also would say, like, I know we're talking about like, NFT brands, scamming people, or just, people hacking people and scamming them. Oh, by the way, when I actually, so the mistake I made was when literally the moment I said this happened to me, I got so many DMs on Discord and Twitter, people trying to now really scam me, like past that time.
Yeah, scam you again, right? Yeah. To fix it, right?
And so it was hilarious because I knew, like, I could tell, like, at that point. And I was, people were just claiming things like, hey, like, I know someone at MetaMask, I'll hook you up. I was like, yeah, you do. And so,
right.
But yeah, it's so bad. It's brutal. Like, if something happens to you, like, they just like come after you. They all come back to you. Yeah,
blood in the really water.
Bad. But also, like, I don't think this is being talked about, but I've seen, and again, I don't know the situation with Lana Rhodes. I don't know the situation with a lot of these people. I really do not know what actually happened, and I haven't researched it myself. I haven't taken the time to do this. But I do see there are brands out there where just to get attention, they call out other people's scams and like fraud. And so just to get views and clicks and likes. And if someone thinks about this, the concept of it's just like let's say you don't have a Lamborghini and you see someone's like driving a Lamborghini. It's easier to say, hey, like, this guy must have been just like stealing money from people. That's how he got his Lambo. Versus like say, hey, like, what did it take for him to actually do that, right? So and if that mindset, some people will actually go after it and be like, yeah, you're right. They must have been stealing everyone's money. That's how they got rich. So I sense that there's some of that. Again, like, I do not know about any of the rug pulls apart from the two that I know personally, that I literally called them. I was like, yo, go give people's money back. Apart from those two, like, I actually don't know what's happening, but I do see, like, people literally find the smallest thing. There are brands out there, they find the smallest things just to get likes, or just influencers, just to get likes and shares. And they know people who don't have the time to research, because it's emotionally engaging subject, they find it entertaining. It's just like bad news, right? Like online, you say something like that and everyone's just going to be like, yeah, you're right. Like, they're scamming everyone.
Well, and again, just relating this to the traditional business world, that mud throwing is common in traditional business too. Everything is more relatable than I thought it was initially. Like, you see I mean, businesses are opening and closing every day in the real world, and it's understood. But when you find out that the owners or the founders of the project didn't have their shit together, everyone's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening." And for me, it's just like, hey, you got to take a hard look at this. For some reason, and I don't know if as a marketer why this is. But it seems one of the key differences in this world compared to, if I'm driving down the street and I see a new store just opened, it's a new taco shop, I'm not pulling over to buy a taco right now. My FOMO is not that big. But if I see a new NFT project come up, I'm like, oh, I need to buy this right now. Do you have a theory or any idea why that is?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, the context is that NFTs are just really hot. Actually, people talking about it right now is going down. But I still think, like, just from what I'm seeing in the projects that I'm working with, like, everyone's engaging, everyone's doing everything. So I don't know, I don't think that's the case, that it's going down or anything. And plus, there's so many companies involved in this, so many features that have been created by large companies through NFTs. That's going to be rolled out soon. So I don't think NFT is going away anyways. But I think NFT is a topic that a lot of people are just new to. So it's just inherently has some FOMO around it. Everyone wants to be bullish about it. But it also, it's just the community around things is an online community versus like a physical community, right? So like your online community, because you're behind your keyboard, you're a lot more expressive than you would be in real life, right? And so sometimes people.
True. Did Amazon program us to be like?
I mean, they want to get into metaverse too. Like they're gonna make it worse. So yeah, I mean they probably yeah.
I think wow, it's crazy.
I think one of the because I've seen a lot of these projects like rug pull. Like there was a Balloonville, for example, in Solana. It was a project that everybody was hyped around. Influencers were hyped around. And the day the guy minted, he was like, "Peace, I'm keeping the money. F you, everybody." And he was on Twitter because it was on Magic Eden. And it was part
see you, nerds.
Yeah, it was so funny. It wasn't funny, but it was funny at the same time because what they were doing is these rug pullers, right, built a community, had so many people hype. They minted out $500,000, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're closing peace." And it was a project in the Magic Eden launchpad. Ooh. And in order to be in the launchpad, you have to be like doxxed, and they have to do all their
interviewed. You're supposed to be interviewed, right?
So everybody, the whole community was blaming Magic Eden for their lack of due diligence. Magic Eden was on a Spaces, a Twitter Spaces, going, "We're responsible, or we're gonna figure this out." And he was like, "No, you're not. F you. I have more projects that are gonna get rugged in your launch pad, right?" So it was insane how disrespectful and how he was talking about, like, really degrading the girls that were on the Spaces too. He was on the Spaces listening to them and talking shit to them and tweeting that the girl from Magic Eden was like, "How can this guy get away with this? Talk shit about us while we're trying to fix this," right?
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, and in that particular case too, I didn't buy actually until Magic Eden stepped in to derug the project, and then I bought one just to see what that process is like. They're still working on it. It's
wow.
This is recent,
about a month ago. Yeah.
And
oh wow.
The other thing is these rug pullers, how much they're investing into creating the community, right? Because you're doing the same thing in a way. You're investing a couple $100,000 or thousands of dollars to promote. So are they doing the same thing, you think, on the end?
So see, that's the thing I've thought about a lot. So I'm like, you make more money if you don't rug pull. Like, why? Because it takes time. So I mean, I don't know like anyone that's just like intentionally saying, "Hey, over the next 30 days, we're gonna build this community and perform a rug pull on them." But like, so I don't know like what it's like, what they actually like, but it just seems like it's a lot of work to just get 400K and cash out. Unless you were just doing many of these, then maybe that's like, I just trying to, it's like sometimes I'm trying to understand like what actually goes on in their mind, right? Because to me, if you actually follow through with that and then do another launch to them, you make more money and you've already done the work. You don't have to do as much work. But seems like doing another launch, that's a lot of work. So yeah, I don't necessarily have a road plan for how to rock, but but yeah, no.
That's
Just
not
in the
part of
bonus
your
section,
program,
just
how
in
to
case
rock?
you guys want it. Here's how you do it.
Here's how you do it. I had another question. What is your opinion? I've heard again. I've heard that celebrity endorsed projects rarely do well. What has been your experience?
Actually, it's
with
funny.
that?
Like one of the ones that, so this celebrity that I really like, he was endorsing a specific project, and I literally went in to buy it, but I was late, so they sold out in like 5 minutes. I think I came in like maybe 3 hours or so after their minting was live, and then it turned out to be a rock pool. I still don't know to this day, honestly, if that was the case or not. Like a lot of people say, like everything is a rock pool, so like you can't, at this point you can't really tell. Like you have to actually research yourself. But so I think it's interesting because I've actually had the opportunity to sit on calls for strategy sessions for literally AAA Hollywood legends that they're doing the NFT marketing things. So it's interesting because they think, and maybe most people think, if they have a name, they can just pull out a sellout just like that. But it's not the case. There's been actually multiple instances of celebrities doing NFT marketing themselves, and it actually hasn't panned out. And these are big people, and so it's not just the names. If you think like you can just have that name and like actually like millions of followers on all platforms, and then you don't do the right things. So like one of them specifically, they came to me after they didn't sell out, and they literally, like, this person, everyone on the planet Earth knows who this person is, right? And so they said like they didn't sell out, and I was like, so like how many Discord members you had, how many Twitter, and I was like, how many whitelisters did you have? And they're like, what is a whitelister? And so I was like, okay, great. So you guys saw like you just talk about NFTs like in a video, and like everyone's just like rushing to buy NFTs from you. That's not the case. So I think there's a distinction between how to do marketing in Web 2 and Web 3, and traditional marketing, just like talking about it everywhere, that's not going to cut it. And most probably because out of 15 million people, most of them, they don't know what NFTs are. And so you could talk about NFTs all you want, but if you don't have a plan to actually take people to a Discord, so they're with a community where they can learn from each other, they can actually understand how to get a MetaMask, how to get a Phantom wallet, how to buy NFT, how to understand when to buy, when not to buy, so on and so forth, then this doesn't work. And so could influencers, now this is the influencers themselves, but for projects, I usually like to get one big influencer for projects. It helps tremendously. But then typically I used to do it with like for example, one project, there was like Snoop Dogg came along for a project, like that was really cool, but we already sold out by that point, so I don't know what impact he had. Typically I like to have like a mix. Even if they do it, I like to have a mix of NFT influencers and non-NFT influencers. So then, because then if you just have like all sorts of people who are just people out there, it's just the distribution of the demographics of the population is just going to be newbies. And actually that's really not only for sellout, that's not good, but also like past that is not good neither, because they're typically hand papers. So they're the ones that are actually going to just like, smallest thing happens, like let's say market is just going down by like even like the smallest percentage, they're the first one that be like, okay, let's just sell everything. Yeah. And then so your project will just, your flow price, everything will just drop. So it's really important to have combinations. And then also NFT influencers are also like kind of new. So a lot of them were crypto influencers, changed their bio, now they're NFT influencers as well. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right. Well, I just realized we've been talking to you for a long time. This has been really, really good, really helpful. Do you want to just take a second and tell everyone where they can find you, how they can reach you?
Yeah, so if they want to read case studies on how some of the projects that sold out and that I've been involved with, actually how that happened, so the methodology we've used, how much we spent, so on and so forth, they can go on soldoutnfts.io. So that's SOLDNFTS.io. And then on all socials, Arvin K NFT. So that's ARVINK NFT. And on Twitter, I'm most responsive. So if people message me, I most probably message them back fairly quickly.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for being on our show, Arvin. We appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a very busy man, so we really appreciate it. And we're going to throw it over to Wanzi to close the show like he always does.
All right, so I'm never prepared for this, so here we go. We got Magic Arvin on the show. Thank you for coming out. We learned about how to not rug pull, and we really appreciate your time. Looking forward to networking with you and creating some more partnerships. And to everybody listening, go out there, reach out to Arvin on Twitter. He'll help you out.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And that ends our episode of Mint Meltdown.